The holidays are about spending time with your loved ones and creating magical memories that will last a lifetime. So whether it's family and friends you haven't seen in a while, or those who you see all the time, share holiday magic this season with an ice-cold Coca-Cola. Copyright 2024, The Coca-Cola Company.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now, from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And this half hour brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And now, ready to drink cocktails like High Noon, Crown Royal, Jack Daniels. And the Pickle Bar, led by the barrels and the dills, indeed second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. So, joining us now is Leah Assimakopoulos. I hope I got it close. How did I do, Leah?
Close enough. You did great.
Okay. All right. Assimakopoulos.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Leah, welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
You've been covering this team, and you've watched it grow. Specifically, where are they better now than the opening month of the season in your mind?
Yeah, I think offensively we've seen the biggest difference for SMU. They started the season and they came into the year with the approach of they're going to play 2 quarterbacks, and it just really did not work for them. The first 3 games of the year, they alternated between Kevin Jennings and Preston Stone, and it was just very disjointed, and the offense just really couldn't get going. And once they settled with Jennings as their full-time starter, that's when things really started to click for them. Right around the same time, the offensive line kind of started to gel as well. There were some new pieces there, players in different positions. So that's been kind of the most noticeable difference. The defense has been pretty solid throughout the year for them, but Jennings has really just continued to improve, and he's still just a sophomore, so pretty young in his career.
How much of an X factor is it out there with him? Because when I watch him on video, the first thing that strikes me is that when he escapes the pocket, he keeps his head up still looking to make a pass play. He only runs when he has to run. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely, yeah. I think he was running a lot more earlier in the year, but now it is a lot more of those heads-up plays, kind of diving throws. It's funny, Nick Saban did kind of a film breakdown of Kevin and talked about that. And the one thing that he said he needs to do a better job is Kevin loves to run with just one hand on the football, and led to a couple fumbles lately, so that's kind of an area he's working on when he leaves the pocket. But yeah, he's a playmaker, and that he is that X factor for SMU. He can make plays with his feet. He's got an arm, which is kind of underrated entering the year for him. So he's been talked about so much for a reason, and he definitely is kind of what's getting this team to where they are right now.
When Brett Lashley came over, he used the Miami pipeline. There are a lot of Miami transfers in this team. One of them is Breshard Smith, the running back, who had been a wide receiver at Miami. What did they see in him that said, you know what, instead of wide out, he can be a tailback for us?
Yeah, it's funny. So Breshard really wanted to come to SMU, and they just didn't have a receiver spot for him. So Brett Lashley said, you can come, but you have to play running back, and he said he'll do it. And Lashley said he was actually watching the Super Bowl and watching the Chiefs in the playoffs and saw Isaiah Pacheco and said, that's Breshard Smith. Like, they just look similar. They're a similar size. I think Pacheco's only 10 pounds more is what Lashley said. So that was kind of the vision, and he's been such a threat for SMU, and obviously he was a receiver, so he can catch the ball, he can run, he's very explosive, And, it's been just kind of a perfect storm of, him learning he can be a first-team All-ACC running back, which obviously no one knew he had in him. He was great in special teams, and great kickoff returner, but kind of learned that he could do that on the offense as well.
Yeah. Then there's Daniels, punt returner, but also receiver, and used at times as a runner in this offense. What has his versatility meant to what SMU can do?
Yeah, it's been really important this year. SMU has kind of taken a by-committee approach at both running back and receiver at times this year. There's been some key injuries, and Daniels has just had to kind of do it all. He's played with Breshard Smith at running back and switched back to wide receiver when Jake Bailey, who was one of their leading receivers, went down with a season-ending injury. So both of those players are incredibly versatile, and that has been super important for him. And the punt return, he's had at least one punt return for a touchdown this year. So he's a homegrown guy right from a southern suburb of Dallas, and they love that here at SMU, and he's done a lot for them this year.
Defensively, Harvey and Roberts as the ends. I mean, I've seen Booker before because Booker played against Penn State. But Harvey and Roberts as defensive ends, how effective have they been, and how interesting is it when they put them on the same side in a rush situation?
I think they've been very underrated. That was kind of a talked about thing when the All-ACC teams came out, that Elijah Roberts was just honorable mention. I don't even know if Harvey was on there at all, because they might not have the numbers in terms of the tackles. The sacks have kind of started to come later in the year, but it's just the overall pressure that they've brought that I think has been a little bit overlooked. I mean, both of them have been major playmakers for SMU this year. Harvey had probably one of the most important plays of the season, where he pretty much jumped over the line and blocked a field goal against Duke that sent the game to overtime and allowed SMU to keep their perfect ACC record alive and send them to the ACC championship game. So the two of them are the leaders of the defense and definitely players to watch this week and every game.
I mean, I know when I'm watching the video getting ready to broadcast the game, Kobe Wilson, the middle linebacker, may not be the quintessential size of what you want at that middle linebacker spot, but his side-to-side movement, his lateral movement is tremendous. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he is not a very big guy, and I think that is another reason why he can be kind of one of the more overlooked players. But, he's a captain on this team, been a leader on this team. He was a transfer before last season, had a standout first year, and then has just kind of been one of the key pieces of this defense. SMU brought back all three of their top linebackers from last season. So you've got Wilson and Ahmad Walker and Alex Kilgore. So the three of them have been pretty critical for them. And Wilson's made some incredible plays this year. He had one touchdown. I can't even remember what game it was. It was a home game where he, ran it back 80-some yards for the score, and is just another playmaker. And yes, he may not have the size of some of the players Penn State's probably played against in the Big Ten, but not someone that you can underestimate.
All right, you look at the video, and I can see the talent all over the place. Jennings, you're like, wow. All right, same thing with Smith, the same thing with Daniels, Wilson, Harvey, Roberts, a couple guys in the secondary like Moses, so forth. But then I see the weird stats, and there are some weird stats. Mm-hmm. They're minus 11 giveaway, takeaway on the road?
Well, that one is probably – so there was one game this year.
Duke was 6,
Duke,
I know that.
Where they lost the turnover margin 6-0, and they still won that game. So that's probably skewing it a little bit. But, yes, they earlier in the season they were winning the turnover margin a lot, and then that kind of shifted when they had a lot of consecutive games on the road. But definitely maybe a relevant stat for Penn State to keep in mind.
The next one is they've fumbled the ball 23 times. Right? All right. And they've lost 12 of them, so they haven't lost all 23. But that's nearly 2 a game. I mean, I find that to me these are bizarre things that I don't expect in an 11-2 team.
Yeah, and those are interesting stats that I didn't even realize. I think the fumble, Smith is not very fumble prone. Jennings maybe a little more so.
Okay.
Ball security was kind of an issue for him in his first few games last year. Definitely something he's improved in, but we've kind of seen a few games here and there him get back toward that a little bit. But as you said, they haven't all led to turnovers. So I think, that is an area Penn State's defense can definitely capitalize, and SMU's going to have to be very careful this week.
I've been told that SMU has been practicing in the morning. Is that the norm? Does SMU normally practice in the morning?
Yes, they do. They usually practice are between like 8 and 10 a.m.
Gotcha.
And they did that leading up to the ACC championship game, which works pretty well because it was pretty chilly here in Dallas. So they kind of got the morning chill a little bit and got used to the colder weather. This week it hasn't really made any difference because it's been 70 degrees in Dallas. But I guess better chance to practice in the morning than in the afternoon to try to get somewhat closer to the weather they're going to face.
Leah, I know the Cowboys own the market. I've got it. I mean, Texas Rangers win the World Series, and the Cowboys still own the market. The Dallas Stars can win the Stanley Cup. The Mavs can win the NBA Finals. The Cowboys still own the market. Okay? How have fans reacted, though, to this SMU season in the market?
Yeah, it's been a real talking point. You're right. I mean, the Cowboys are always going to control this market, but and here as well, Texas A&M, UT, there's a lot of alumni in Dallas that are supporting those teams as well. But I think you're seeing the city really rally around SMU. It's, they've recruited a lot of local players. About almost half their roster is from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You're seeing it in terms of attendance. They expanded their stadium this year, and they've had broken all sorts of attendance records for, a school that kind of struggled with that since the death penalty days. So, the city is definitely getting excited about it, and, now for years they played in Group of Five conferences. It just really wasn't a lot to be excited about, but the move to the ACC kind of jump-started that, and, of course, the year they're having, going to the college football playoff, being on this national stage, Dallas loves a winner, and they're getting behind them for that reason.
And then there's the other part, too. I know that they're not taking TV money to go into the ACC, but within the first week, they raised, $100 million after the announcement? Some number like that? I mean,
they raised.
What does that tell us about the SMU financial culture?
Yeah, and I think that's critical to their success, and we're seeing this era of college football. Money plays a big role with NIL and the transfer portal, and the players they've been able to bring in and keep. SMU is located in a very affluent part of Dallas. They have multiple billionaire alumni. It's a lot of really generous boosters, and you saw that with the $100 million in the first week. The money moving to the ACC, not getting that TV money, was really never a concern for them. They knew they were going to be just fine, and that's because they have an alumni base and a group of supporters that will support them in that. It certainly helps. It helps in keeping a coach like Rhett Lashley where he is, because he's not going to leave because of money, because of not having the NIL money. He's got all of those resources right there. So it's important, and it's definitely contributing to what they've done this year.
I know you're a pro, so you're approaching this like a pro, but deep down, how anxious are you to see this game, and how anxious are you to see Beaver Stadium?
I'm honestly so excited. I've been to some pretty cool college football environments. I went to school at Northwestern, so I've been to some Big Ten games. I've never been to Beaver Stadium. I've been to the Big House, but Beaver Stadium is kind of one of my college football bucket list places to go. I've heard amazing things about whiteout games, and I think it's going to be tough for SMU. I think it's tough for anyone to go into that environment, and it really is unprecedented to play a playoff game there. We don't even know what the atmosphere is going to be like, probably even better than it ever has been. So I think it'll be very cool to see. I feel lucky that I get to be a part of it.
Well, we're lucky that you're going to be here to cover it. You're a real pro's pro, and thank you so much for the time that you gave us today. The audience really appreciates it.
No problem at all.
Thank you, Leah.
Have a good one.
All right. You too. And Leah Antonopoulos joining us from the Dallas Morning News. Great to have her on the show today. She gave us some great insight into the team that's coming in here. And again, the numbers are weird. Like, that they're number 4 in the nation against the run. Well, that's really impressive. But then you take a deep dive into it. only 3 of them are in the top 60 in the ability to run the ball. The other 10 are from 60 to 104. Like, okay. All right. They lost 12 fumbles, but they fumbled the ball 23 times. That's a gigantic number of putting the ball on the ground. Like, yikes. And you don't usually see that in an 11-2 team. If you're asking how many times Penn State fumbled, it's 11, and they lost 4. Okay. And the giveaway, takeaway thing we've talked about ad nauseum, so I'm not going to get back into that again. But just some of the stuff is strange. Like that, I'm talking about stuff I've never seen before. You're getting ready for a game like this. No, because I've been able to get ready for games like Oregon in the Big Ten Championship game, Wisconsin in the Big Ten Championship game, USC in the Rose Bowls, Utah in the Rose Bowl, Washington in the Fiesta Bowl. All really great records, and the numbers reflect the great records. This one is, a lot of it's like, okay, look at the rushing, look at the passing, okay, look at the defense, they're giving up on rushing, and right? And then you see other ones that go, man, that doesn't fit. And that one doesn't fit. It's really, it doesn't mean that's how it's going to play out on Saturday. That's not what it means. But it's something to watch for on Saturday. And as I said, I've never seen numbers that strange before. So, I don't know. Hey, women's volleyball tonight. 8:45, Penn State, Nebraska. The 4 1 seeds are all in. Penn State, Nebraska. The opener is Louisville against Pitt. Louisville's hosting. It's at the KFC Yum Center. Suits a major investor. He liked the word yum. Where do we find this guy? Is he even in today? Nobody knows. Should be a terrific match tonight. Got all the ingredients of going 5. So, yeah. Penn State has beaten Nebraska. They've beaten Louisville. Both were at Rec Hall. They went to the Pete and lost to Pitt on the road. So that's your women's volleyball Final Four tonight. Big few days. Back with more in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
The holidays are a time of year to celebrate and reflect. Reflect on the past year, a year filled with challenges and uncertainty. Uncertainty that bred resilience and hope. Hope for healing, change, new beginnings, and unity. United as one people, one community, by one mission, to safeguard and protect what matters most. From all of us at Purdy Insurance, we wish you health, happiness, and joy this holiday season and success in the new year.